this video, we're going to explore the visualizer in Infinitone 2. It's right here on the right side of the user interface, and you'll notice that every time you play a chord or an interval, it makes a shape. Now this is really exciting because you have the opportunity to see harmony. You can literally see the geometric shape that any harmony that you play creates. So to demonstrate how this works, I'm going to go to the harmonic series, and that's in scales beyond the octave harmonic series. I'll change the preset to perfect square, and here's the fundamental frequency of 50. I'm going to change it to 52 in this case because of the way the visualizer works. The visuals will turn out just a little bit better. And here's the harmonic series. Those are the first 8 harmonics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what the harmonic series is, which is very, very different from standard 12-tone tuning, is it creates frequencies that have rational relationships. So the first relationship here is 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 2 to 1. So that means the second frequency is going twice as fast as the first frequency. So if this is 100 hertz, the second one is 200 hertz, and 300 hertz, and 400 hertz, so on. So what that does is, if you play the tones together, it creates what's called a standing wave. That's because as the waves are vibrating, they always come back to the same place over and over and over again, and they draw a stable shape. So in this case, the ratio is 2 to 1. So you see this little loop in the center as the waveform completes itself. Now if I go up a step and I go 3 to 1, you'll see 2 little loops in there. If I go 4 to 1, you'll see 3, 4. And there keeps being more and more and more sort of loops in that pattern the higher I go up in the series. So this is the 32nd harmonic. So there's 31 loops being drawn in there. Now I can do it a little bit differently, and I can go up the harmonic series with 2 fingers this time instead of just 1. And I can, you'll see that the intervals actually get smaller as they go up, instead of getting bigger. And that has a completely different kind of pattern as they go up. But each one has its own very stable geometric shape because it's coming from the rational relationship of the harmonic series. Now, what is very interesting about this is you can not only visualize an interval, but you can visualize as many notes as you can play. In the past, you actually have been able to visualize intervals using a technique called the Saju drawing, which you might have seen on the internet. And what that does is it puts a frequency on the x-axis and a frequency on the y-axis, and it draws a pattern. The limitation of that is that's only 2 frequencies that you can visualize. The groundbreaking feature of Infinitone 2 is you can actually visualize many intervals together. So I'm going to play, let's see, the first... I'm going to play those as a basis, so that's 3 notes. I'm going to play some more intervals going up. And you can see with multiple intervals playing together, you get these really complex and beautiful patterns when you're playing harmonic relationships. To take advantage of that beauty, I've actually created a preset. It's in harmonies, New Frontiers, Sight, and Sound. And what this is it's a chord progression. So the chords in this sequence progress in a musically pleasing way, but also the visuals progress in a musically pleasing way. So you can see and hear what you're playing at the same time. Just as a reminder of how these chord progressions work, on the key mapping here, you can see it. There's 3 notes mapped on the keyboard. There's C, D, and E on the keyboard. And I'm going to play those notes with my left hand, and I'll change the chord with my right hand, going up these key triggers 1 through 12. And for each one, you'll see a different pattern. These, as I said before, these are very beautiful, stable patterns because they are harmonic chords. They're based on rational relationships, which is very different from our standard 12-tone tuning. So I'm going to demonstrate the difference. I'm going to go back to perfect square here. And I'm going to use this macro knob on the right and select it, switch it to 12 EDO morph. What that does is it allows you to move in a continuous fashion between the Infinitone tuning and the closest relative that you can find to 12-tone tuning, and back and forth. And you can actually see and hear the difference. So I'm going to play this first chord and move the slider up and down. And you can see and hear what happens. All of the notes go out of phase and they start creating all these weird, wacky, chaotic beating patterns. I'm going to play that again and slide it back in tune. Now let's try another one. Let's try number 2. Here's another one. Listen to how that sounds in standard 12-tone tuning. Now, there's no argument now that our standard tuning is pretty wacky, pretty out of tune. So what's happening here is that the notes are just getting out of tune. They're going out of phase with themselves. So instead of completing that loop in a rational way, they actually never complete the loop, and they just keep searching and searching and searching and creating this chaos. There's another way of creating a sort of phasing pattern like that, and that is using our beating feature. This is a little bit of a different concept. I'm going to go into the advanced view here and turn on beating. And I'm going to set this to 2. So now the beating pattern is going to be on 2 hertz. And let's see, I'll put this on 9. And I'm going to change the preset again to square saw. And if I play one note, you'll hear this phasing beating pattern. What's happening is Infinitone is actually playing 2 notes at once. One is the original frequency, and another is 2 hertz higher than that. And what that does is it creates what's called a difference tone, which creates a beating pattern of 2 hertz. If I play all the notes at once, you'll see and hear a beating pattern of 2 hertz. So it's going in and out, wow, 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 at the speed of 2 times a second. So now I can play a chord progression and where you'll see all of the chords beating at 2 hertz. So this is really exciting for the first time in history to be able to see harmony. And what's really wonderful is if you're second guessing your ears and you don't quite know what's going on, you can actually see the harmony and use the visualizer to reinforce what your ear is hearing. And that way you can hear it more deeply and more profoundly. And also it should be noted that the visualizer in Infinitone 2 currently is not taking audio input. It's taking theoretical frequency relationships. It's putting the math in there and visualizing it. So it's visualizing the math and not the actual sound. In future versions of Infinitone, we can create a visualizer which will actually take audio input, but that's for later. And I hope as you continue to explore Infinitone 2 that you really enjoy seeing what you're hearing.